Hello, everyone. This is the last episode of my success series. And today's episode, I labeled the Dementors of Success. I chose the label. I actually borrowed it from J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series. And the reason I did it, because I think the figure of Dementors are really truly describing what is undermining any kind of successful endeavor. And another reason was because I was shocked when I learned what happened to her. If you consider her work, the fact that she came from a very, very low position, she was a single mother, very poor, and she achieved what she has actually through her own abilities. So it was, the whole endeavor is really marvelous and miraculous. And nobody actually helped her. Whatever she has, she achieved by her own achievements. Let's put it this way: by her own talent, by her hard working, by her wonderful abilities. And just because she was brave enough to say, hello, no, man will not deliver children. And no, just because a man identifies as a woman should not actually be and compete in a women's competition in sports, because they have very, very different physical bodies and different bone structure and muscle structure. And also that she also mentioned that there's the thing that menstruating people is a nonsense, because only women can menstruate. So what she actually did was she used her common sense, and she spoke about stuff that we have known for quite a while. And we used to know it. Okay, I still know it, of course. I still have my common sense. But just because her fellow liberals completely lost their minds, she didn't. And she was brave enough to say, and of course she was torn apart by Dementors, by the modern liberal Dementors. This is how I look at it. So I'm really sorry for her. Of course, there's a saying that the revolution eats her children, and this is what we are seeing. I don't know where this madness will end. It should end, because nature always wins. So whatever is unnatural is never a success. Now that we are talking about success, for a while, for a couple of decades, maybe it could prevail, but then the nature is setting the balance back to its normal, and it's not going to be nice, and it's not going to be happy either for those who are now crazy. Okay, having said that, let's see, I prepared a little sheet for you, and here's the definition of Dementors. What is, okay, I'm not very good at talking and actually trying to share something with you, but this is it. Dementors are among the foulest creatures that walk this earth, probably, yes. They infest the darkest, filthiest places. They glory in decay and despair. They drain peace, hope, and happiness out of the air around them. Get too near a Dementor, and every good feeling, every happy memory will be sucked out of you. If it can, the Dementor will feed on you long enough to reduce you to something like itself, soulless and evil. This is exactly what I think about, by the way, by modern liberals. They are soulless and evil and stupid. Okay, you will be left with nothing but the worst experiences of your life. And this is, I think it was the 5th volume. This description comes from J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Okay, now here's the wonderful picture of a Dementor that I took from this blog, in a Hungarian blog. I just love it because that's exactly, so if you look at it, it's a big 9 feet tall figure or creature, they have no face. Instead of their hands, you have the skeleton fingers, and instead of their mouth, there's a hole, but this is the organ by which they suck the energy and happiness out of humans. And When they appear, they generate feelings of depression and despair. That's very important. And this happens to us quite often, even when you are perfectly seemingly happy in the small hours, when you wake up from a bad dream, this is what you feel. Also, when you have lost a loved one, if you lost your job, if you are financially insecure, or you have been cheated on, this is exactly how you feel. That is when you give yourself to the Dementors. They can also consume a person's soul, and the people they leave soulless turn into an empty shell. Again, when the going gets really tough and you have multiple problems in your life, you often are reduced to an empty shell. You can defend yourself against them by using the Patronus charm, which involves conjuring a magical guardian. And this Patronus is a protection of your positive feelings, really. That's what creates a shield around you, and then you can defend these Dementors. So let's talk about the Dementors of Success and what may prevent you from becoming successful. What are the things and what are the astrological indicators for these things? The first, I would say, stupidity, low IQ. And this is something that you won't really see in the chart. I just had a conversation over the net, of course, not a regular conversation, about, you may remember a couple of days ago, I posted a video on the Cazimi placement, Mercury, Sun Cazimi. The Mercury is at the moment retrograde, and this was a special placement. And what I only said in the video that whenever you have this placement, whenever you have a Cazimi planet, which means that any planet that is 17 minutes of an arc in conjunction with the sun is a Cazimi, and the sun infuses it with energy. And this woman started to argue with me that she knows someone who is dyslexic, but she has a Sun Mercury Cazimi. And I always, it's so ridiculous, because one placement doesn't make the whole chart. So you really have to delineate the whole chart. But the fact remains, okay, that person may be dyslexic, yes, maybe, but the fact remains that the Mercury there in the Cazimi placement will be strong. Of course, the person may have had a very low IQ, and then even this Cazimi placement won't have him or her too much. So you see, you need to look at the whole picture. Just because, yes, when we teach, we need to list a couple of things or to draw your attention to it, doesn't mean that the whole is greatly emphasized by just one single item. So actually, IQ is something that you won't be able to see in the chart, okay? That's a problem, because you may have a wonderful chart full of potentials, and you can still have a low IQ. For instance, I remember a client, she was my dumbest client. She was really, really dumb. You might have had such people, you might have encountered such people where you try to say a sentence, subject, predicate, object. So it's a simple sentence, and she won't understand it. She just starts arguing about it. So actually, you won't be able to do it. And this woman who was my first client, she had the nodal axis in the 3rd, 9th houses, which are the education houses. And I believe her south node was in the 9th house. So she comes from a life where she was a professor or a scientist or an expert of something, or someone who was teaching at university or a higher education, and still she was dumb. Okay, so IQ is something that is not included in the chart. The next thing, actually, I can stop this and I'm just going to enumerate what I see here for you. You don't need to look at the things. But the next one is laziness. Now, you may remember that out of the videos that I put out on success, I kept emphasizing that industriousness is a very relevant factor, and this is something that you can't actually surpass. Now, the opposite, of course, is laziness. And well, are there any lazy signs, you might ask? Well, or placements, actually. Well, if you look at the signs, of course, two come in mind immediately, maybe Libra and Pisces for different reasons. Libra likes comfort. Okay, so she doesn't like to leave her comfort zone. She likes to be in a nice environment and doesn't like to push stuff. So I wouldn't consider it lazy per se. I would call her a conformist. Maybe that's a better word. And as for Pisces, Pisces is just chaotic, and in the chaos that life is presenting her with is something that you can't find her pathway sometimes. But the rest of the signs are not actually laziness prone. Let's use this expression. I don't know whether it exists or not. But other placements could suggest some sort of laziness. For instance, if you look at the moon phase at birth, the gibbous moon especially is someone who comes to the earth plane in this incarnation, within the incarnation cycle. It's a position where she needs to, first of all, perfect things, and at the same time, she needs to contemplate on things, on stuff. And if you want to perfect stuff, you need to take it easy, slowly, pace by pace, step by step. And also when you need to ponder on things, on stuff, yes, you need to sit and ponder. So those people who come with a gibbous moon phase are often considered to be lazy by others, simply because they are not active in the outward environment. They have a lot to do from the inner environment, from the inner viewpoints, and that requires quietness, slow-paced, considerate behavior, and that could be actually interpreted as being lazy. Also, when you have a lot of trines in your chart, and I remember Judy Hall, my master, once said that a lot of sextiles, and especially the structure that we call Merkaba, where you have two intertwining grand trines, and then these have a lot of sextiles around it. She said that this is the surest way to do nothing, because everything is just falling into your lap. So trines, if you have an outrageous amount of trines, it makes life really easy and just flowing, and it could slow you down, actually. So these are the ones that I would say are laziness triggering placements, okay, that really may cause you to become lazier than average. But really, I think it's really a choice, a matter of choice, whether you are willing to put in a lot of long hours and whether you are willing to become industrious, or you just want to just move away and allow others to do your stuff. The next point is ignorance. And I also put in the lack of relevant knowledge. Of course, Mercury and the 3rd, 9th houses should be looked at to determine whether or not this is the case. Ignorance may also be a choice, because if you just choose not to study and you finish your schooling much earlier than the average, and you barely learn to read and write, which is unfortunately the case in many Western countries, you guys no longer learn handwriting. So that, to me, that was shocking, that about 10 years ago, the United States decided not to teach children handwriting, only just capital block letters. It's crazy. Okay, handwriting is something that shapes your mind, and to do away with it, I don't know. It sounds really stupid. Okay, but when we consider ignorance, it's not always lexical knowledge. It's not always the knowledge that you can learn from books or in academic studies. Consider a farmer who knows everything about land, everything about plants and trees and animals. And he may not have a college degree, but of course he knows he possesses the relevant knowledge for his life. So the knowledge comes in many forms. And when I say ignorance, I mean by that that the whatever you want to do, whatever you want to accomplish, you need a set of rules and also a set of knowledge. Okay, and if you are not knowledgeable enough in the subject matter that you would like to become successful, okay, about, then you that is going to prevent you from becoming successful. So that's the key here. Now look at Mercury. Mercury, first of all, could be in a sign which is very happy. When you look at the aspect configurations or aspect placements to Mercury, take a look at the squares, which can hinder the native to learn properly or to achieve a lot through learning. And especially Saturn and Chiron aspects may be debilitating. With Saturn, you just don't dare to speak, and with Chiron, your speech or even your speech organs or your communication or your learning abilities may be wounded. Also, Mercury retrograde could indicate that you don't really know how to express yourself or don't dare to express yourself. And of course, the third and ninth houses could also indicate either the lack of knowledge or the wish to not know. Let's put it this way. There's also an interesting centaur, Okiro, which indicates that in the past, you were punished for knowing stuff, and you decide not to know. You don't want to know in this life. So this is a more complex issue. Our next point is the lack of purpose. And where do you see purpose in the chart? The MC, the Sun, and the North Node all describe different sorts of purposes. Why is purpose important? To have purpose, to have an aim? Because if you don't have an aim, you don't know how to aim at it, simply. So you need a vision, you need some sort of idea where you would like to be 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And again, as I said, it depends on how old you are. Just have plans and try to project these plans to the outer world, to the universe, and use them as some sort of image towards which you are striving. And to look at these three chart points, the midheaven is the future and also the point of aspirations. It's also the point of profession. In old times, there used to be only 3 true professions: the priest, the doctor, and the teacher. Now we call everything profession, but actually in Hungarian, we use the word calling. And the idea behind it was that it had to be God who called you, so you had to receive a call from the divine in order to become a priest, a teacher, or a doctor. But anyhow, even then, the midheaven shows your aspirations and also what you're aiming at. So where you can show yourself to the world out there. The Sun is your personal ego development, and the North Node is what you have chosen for yourself as a destiny. All these could become purposes. Look at your chart, look at your midheaven, placements around the midheaven, planets, asteroids, anything else. Look at the Sun, look at the Sun's house, and also, of course, sign placement. But in this case, the house placement indicates more what you actually could choose as a purpose. And for instance, if you have a fourth house sun, you could become a housewife. You could become someone who's just working from home, but you could equally become an architect, okay, or a historian, or an antique dealer. So try to find those analogies that are in synchronicity with your sun or your midheaven. The North Node is something that comes later in life, in the second half or third portion of your life, and this is your destiny. But again, it could give you tips, what your purpose should be. You know how many times I hear, I don't know what to do, I have no purpose in life, I'm not sure whether I am at the right place. These are the points to look at, and you will probably get an idea of what you would like to do. And the last point I want to emphasize, the worst dementor of success is envy. And envy and blaming others. And I labeled this type of behavior the phenomenon of the prole. Who is a prole? The term prole comes from proliferation, which means when when things are getting out of hand, they are getting so many. And of course, proles traditionally live in the big cities, in downtown, in slums. Many people live together. They have very low circumstances and very low expectations of life. But it's not really that. It's a type of mentality. I'm very sorry to say that the English is Prince Harry, Markle and Meghan's husband, he has become a true prole when he blames everyone else and whines and has always a problem with others, and no one is doing what he would like them to do. It's the typical prole mentality, when you never look at your own deeds and your own choices, but you're always blaming others. And of course, you are also envious of others. Envy is a very bad, very negative emotion. It really destroys the soul. It's a true dementor. It's one of the worst dementors. And I could never understand it. In my neighborhood or among my friends, whenever someone is successful or someone achieves something, it makes me so happy. It actually helps me to elevate, to become more, to strive for more. And that's what you need to do. If you see someone achieve something, be proud of that person. Don't copy him or her, because that's her or his stuff. Get your own stuff. But never waste your time blaming others, and never waste your time being envious. And because if you can achieve true success, that will be only yours, and that will elevate you to the position where you want to be. But being envious of others won't help you at all. I hope I could help you with this. I hope you could actually take something from these series. Thank you for listening to the series themselves. I'm thinking of creating a tarot series. I actually am doing it in Hungarian, but there are so many tarot videos out there that I'm not sure I'm going to do this in English as well. But if yes, you will get it. If not, you're going to get the important placements that I see. Whenever I see it, I will come out with a new video. Thank you for listening, and be successful. Bye-bye.